I read the message 3 times while standing in the lobby of a hotel in Buenos Aires. The marble floor beneath my shoes felt more solid than anything else in my life at that moment. My boss's words glowed on my phone screen, each one sharp and deliberate. I didn't cry. I didn't slam my phone down. I just stood there as people passed by, speaking Spanish, pulling suitcases, continuing their ordinary days while mine quietly fell apart. I typed a response slowly and carefully. Thank you for informing me. Then I sat on a padded bench near the entrance and focused on breathing, one breath at a time. Let me go back and explain how I ended up here, thousands of miles from home, with $40 in my wallet and a message that made it clear I no longer mattered. My name is Ria. I'm 32 years old. I have a 6-year-old daughter named Ivy. She still sleeps with the stuffed rabbit I gave her the day she was born. Her father left when she was 2 months old. He said he wasn't ready to be a parent. Since then, it's been just the two of us, me and Ivy, handling everything together. I started working at Belmar Goods 4 years ago. The company produces luxury handbags, the kind that cost more than my monthly rent. I wasn't a designer or anything high profile. I worked as a buyer coordinator. My role was to find and manage suppliers for materials the designers needed: leather, hardware, fabrics, whatever was required. The salary was enough to keep us fed and housed, nothing extra. But I was good at the work, very good. I spoke with suppliers across different countries and made sure they understood exactly what we needed. I learned small pieces of their languages, I asked about their families, I remembered their children's names. That's how trust is built. My boss was Graydon, 46 years old. He always wore expensive watches and smelled like cologne that likely cost more than my weekly grocery bill. He was promoted to lead our entire division 3 years ago. I never quite understood how, since he barely grasped the details of our work. Graydon liked to remind me of my position. "You're lucky to work here," he'd say when I asked for time off to take Ivy to the doctor. "There are hundreds of people who would replace you tomorrow." I would smile and reply, "I know, thank you." There wasn't another option. I needed the job. Ivy needed food, clothes, school supplies, so I accepted everything. Every insult, every dismissal, every comment about how I spoke, dressed, or didn't understand business the way he did. 2 months ago, Graydon called me into his office. "We have an issue," he said. "Our leather supplier in Argentina, the one responsible for the spring line, is threatening to walk away." "Why?" I asked. "How should I know? You're the one who talks to them." He said it as if I were only translating words, not managing negotiations or relationships. "I'll contact them," I said. That afternoon, I reached out to Eduardo. His name was Eduardo. He ran a family-owned business outside Buenos Aires. 3 generations producing some of the finest leather I'd ever seen, soft, durable, and carefully crafted. Eduardo was 63, with gray hair and strong hands. His wife, Lucia, handled administration. She brought tea and pastries as we talked. "Tell me what you need," Eduardo said. "I need you to continue working with us," I replied honestly, "but I also need to understand what isn't working for you." We talked for hours about pricing, timelines, and expectations. One word came up repeatedly: respect. "Your boss," Eduardo said carefully, "speaks to us as if we are nothing." "I know," I said quietly. "He speaks to me the same way." Lucia looked at me with sympathy. "Then why do you stay?" I answered. "Because I have a daughter to feed." She understood. She nodded. Over the next 2 weeks, we built more than an agreement. We built trust. We negotiated terms that made sense for everyone involved. I explained the company's needs. Eduardo explained what his team could realistically deliver. We met in the middle. Then Eduardo made an unusual request. "I want you to be our point of contact," he said. Not your boss, you. I don't have that authority, I told him. I'm just a coordinator. Then we give you that authority. Every agreement goes through you. Any change requires your approval. Otherwise, we stop working with Belmar. At the time, I thought he simply preferred working with me. Later, I realized he saw what I hadn't yet, that Graydon was using my work and claiming it as his own, and Eduardo wanted to protect what we had built. Back home, Graydon sent messages at all hours. Where's the contract? When is it signed? What's taking so long? I explained that trust couldn't be rushed. He replied, I don't need excuses. I need results. Once, he insisted on joining a video call with Eduardo. It went poorly. Graydon interrupted constantly, made jokes that didn't translate, and spoke to Eduardo as if he were incompetent. After the call ended, Eduardo said, that man respects no one but himself. I'm sorry, I said. Don't apologize for him, Eduardo replied. You are not him. Ivy's birthday passed. I sent gifts and recorded a video singing to her. Priya told me Ivy cried when she opened them. She just wants you home, she said. I know, I whispered. Soon. After 3 weeks, everything was ready. A complete agreement with fair terms, a partnership worth $12 million in materials over 2 years, enough leather for the spring line and beyond. Eduardo's family would benefit, Belmar would benefit, everyone would gain. The signing was scheduled for Thursday morning. Eduardo wanted his entire family present. He treated it as something meaningful. I was proud, truly proud of what I had accomplished. For once, I felt I had done something that mattered. Wednesday evening, I stood in the hotel lobby reviewing documents for the next day when my phone vibrated. Graydon's message appeared. We're cutting you loose. Your company card is canceled. Figure out how to get home yourself. I stopped breathing. I read it again and then again. No explanation, no warning, just those words. I checked my card. It wasn't working. It wasn't lying. The card had been canceled. I had $40 in my wallet. My return flight was scheduled for the following week and booked through the company's travel account. I had no idea whether that had been canceled as well. I was alone in a foreign country. After 3 weeks of work, after missing my daughter's birthday, eating cheap street food to save the company money, staying in low-cost hotels, riding buses everywhere, and doing exactly what was asked, Graydon called me a loser. My hands moved before my mind caught up. I typed, "Thank you for letting me know." I didn't know what else to say. My thoughts were empty. Before I continue, I want to say thank you for listening to my story. I know these situations aren't easy to hear, and sometimes they're not easy to share. I appreciate you being here, wherever you are, driving, cleaning, or sitting quietly. Thank you. Now, back to what happened. I sat on that bench for an hour, maybe longer. People passed by. The hotel staff glanced at me now and then, but said nothing. I kept thinking about Ivy. How was I going to get back to her? Would I need to ask my sister to send me money? The embarrassment of that thought felt almost as heavy as the message itself. Then something inside me changed. Not anger exactly, something cooler and more focused. I looked into my bag. Inside was a folder holding the unsigned agreement, the $12 million agreement, the one that would secure Belmar's entire spring season, the one Eduardo had refused to sign with anyone but me. I stood up. I left the hotel. I found the bus stop and rode back to Eduardo's workshop one final time. It was dark when I arrived. The lights were still on. Eduardo and Lucia were finishing paperwork for the signing planned for the next day. They looked surprised to see me. "Ria," Eduardo said, "is everything okay?" "They fired me," I said plainly. "My boss sent a message this evening. He said they were cutting me loose, canceled my company card, and told me to find my own way home." Lucia covered her mouth. Eduardo's expression hardened. "After everything," he said quietly, "after 3 weeks, after all your work?" "Yes." "Where are you staying tonight?" "The hotel," I replied. "I have enough cash for maybe 2 more nights. After that, I'll figure something out." Eduardo and Lucia exchanged a look, the kind of silent conversation couples have after years together. Then he turned back to me. "The signing tomorrow," he said. "What do you want to happen?" That's when I realized he wasn't asking whether the signing would happen. He was asking what I wanted to happen. "What do you mean?" I asked. "This agreement," he said, pointing to the papers, "it lists you as the contact person. You approve all changes. The company must work through you to get our leather. That's what we negotiated." "But I don't work there anymore." "Exactly. So why would I sign with them?" It took a moment for the meaning to settle in. The agreement didn't just name me casually, it legally required my involvement. Without me, there was no deal. "They'll send someone else," I said. "They'll try to renegotiate." "Let them try. I won't speak with them. My family won't either. We built this with you, not with a man who respects us." "What about the other company?" I asked. "The one that contacted you last month?" Eduardo smiled, not warmly, but with clear resolve. "Yes, Aurora Lux. They've been calling for nearly a year, offering better prices and better terms. We said no because we had an understanding with Belmar. But now," he shrugged, "Belmar broke that understanding." "You'd really walk away from $12 million?" I asked. "The money isn't going anywhere," Lucia said gently. "It's just going to someone else. Someone who treats people properly." Something tight in my chest finally eased. "There's more," Eduardo said. "Aurora Lux asked us last month if we knew someone who could manage international buying. Someone who understands materials, suppliers, and relationships." He paused. "I have someone in mind." He meant me. "I can't," I said automatically. "I need to get home. I need another job." "You need to stop letting people treat you as if you're worthless," Eduardo said firmly. "Your boss threw you away after you built something valuable, and you want to rush back to find someone else who will do the same." "I have a daughter," I said. "I need stability. I can't take risks." "This isn't a risk," Lucia said. "This is you claiming what you earned. You built this. Why should someone else benefit from it?" I looked down at the unsigned agreement in my hands. 3 weeks away from Ivy, 3 weeks of work, trust, and effort. And Graydon had dismissed me without hesitation? "What would I need to do?" I asked quietly. Eduardo's tone softened. "Tonight, nothing. Stay here. We have a guest room upstairs. Tomorrow morning, I'll call Aurora Lux. I'll tell them Belmar is no longer an option and introduce you to them. Then I'll call your former boss and tell him there will be no signing." "He'll be angry." "Good," Eduardo said simply. I stayed in their guest room that night. It was small, clean, and far more comfortable than the hotel. Lucia brought tea and empanadas and sat with me while I ate. "My father used to say," she told me, "when someone shows you who they are, believe them the first time. Your boss showed you. Don't give him another chance to repeat it." I thought about that all night, about every time Graydon had shown me exactly who he was and how I'd ignored it because I was scared and felt trapped. The next morning, Eduardo made his calls. First, Aurora Lux. I only heard his side. "Yes, this is Eduardo from Familia Reyes Leatherworks. We spoke last month. Are you still interested? Good. I have someone you should meet. She's exceptional." Then he called Graydon and put the phone on speaker. My hands shook, but I stayed quiet. "Eduardo, finally! Are we ready for the signing?" "No, there will be no signing." "What do you mean?" "We won't be working with Belmar Goods." "Is this about money?" "This is about respect," Eduardo said. Graydon argued. Eduardo cut him off. "You fired the person who built this partnership. We trust her. We don't trust you. So there is no agreement." "You can't do this," Graydon said. We already have, Eduardo replied. We'll be working with Aurora Lux instead. He ended the call. Aurora Lux met with me that afternoon. They sent a car. Their office was in a newer part of the city. I felt out of place, but Isa, the woman who met me, was calm and direct. Tell me about yourself, she said. So I did, honestly. About Ivy, about my work, about being stranded the day before. And yet you're here, she said. Why? Because I'm good at what I do, and I'm done being overlooked. She smiled. Can you do what you did for Belmar again for us? Yes, I replied. We discussed salary, travel, flexibility, and family needs. She agreed to all of it. When can you start? After I get home, I said. That evening, Graydon called repeatedly. Then he texted. I deleted every message. Eventually, I blocked his number. The next morning, Eduardo drove me to the airport. He paid for my ticket and wouldn't take no for an answer. You earned this, he said. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise. The flight home was long. I thought about Ivy the entire time, about holding her and telling her things were going to change. When Priya picked me up, she asked what happened. I told her everything. So you were fired, she said slowly, and now you have a better job? I didn't walk away, I replied. They threw me away. I just made sure it didn't end there. They couldn't benefit from what I built. Ivy was asleep when I got home. I went into her room and sat on the edge of her bed. She looked so small and calm. I brushed her hair back and she stirred. Mommy? Her eyes opened, then widened. Mommy? She wrapped her arms around my neck and I held her tightly, tight enough that she let out a small squeak. You're home, she said against my shoulder. I'm home, baby, and I'm not going to be away that long again. I promise. She paused. You promised you'd be back for my birthday, she said quietly. I know. I'm sorry. I broke that promise, but I will keep this one. She leaned back and studied my face. Are you okay, Mommy? You look different. I'm more than okay, I said. Things are going to be better now. That weekend, Belmar Goods tried to reach me through other channels. Someone from their administrative team messaged me. Graydon would like to speak with you about reconsidering your position. We're prepared to offer increased compensation. I replied, there is no position to reconsider. I was fired by text while stranded overseas. Please do not contact me again. They tried twice more. Different names, same message. I ignored them. 2 weeks later, I returned to Buenos Aires. This time, Aurora Lux handled everything. They set me up in a comfortable apartment near the workshop, provided a rental car so I didn't have to rely on buses, and arranged a schedule that allowed me to fly home every 2 weeks to see Ivy. Isa met me on my first day. Welcome back, she said. Ready to build something? Yes, I replied. The work itself was familiar, finding suppliers, negotiating terms, building trust. But everything else felt different. When I shared ideas, people listened. When I needed time off, no one made me feel guilty. When I did good work, it was recognized. I helped Aurora Lux secure leather from Eduardo's family, silk from suppliers in Thailand, hardware from artisans in India, and fabric from weavers in Peru. Every relationship was treated as important because it was. Ivy adjusted better than I expected. Aunt Priya says you have a big, important job now, she told me during one of my trips home. Is that true? I think it's important to me, I said, but you're more important. That's why I come home so often. I like that, and I like when you bring me those cookies from the airplane. 3 months after I started at Aurora Lux, their spring collection launched. Every piece used materials I had sourced. The handbags were refined and well-made, the kind of quality people notice immediately. They sold out within 2 weeks. Fashion writers called it the collection of the year. Aurora Lux became the name everyone was talking about. Orders poured in from retailers who had never stocked their products before. Issa called me into her office after reviewing the numbers. "Do you know what you've done?" she asked. "I just did my job," I said. "You built us an empire," she replied. "These supplier relationships, this level of trust, that's rare." She offered me a promotion, International Sourcing Director. The salary was more than I'd ever imagined earning. Full benefits, the ability to work remotely from home 3 weeks out of every month. "Yes," I said before she finished. "Yes to all of it." That evening, I called Eduardo to tell him. He laughed so loudly I had to move the phone away from my ear. "I knew it," he said. "I told Lucia you would change everything." "I couldn't have done it without you," I said. He corrected me gently. "I just gave you the chance. You did the rest." Meanwhile, Belmar Goods was falling apart. I didn't look for the information, but industries are small. People talk. Suppliers share stories. Without Eduardo's leather, Belmar couldn't meet their spring commitments. They tried replacing him, but the quality wasn't the same. The handbags they produced were noticeably worse. Retailers returned products, customers complained, stores canceled orders and demanded refunds. Fashion blogs that once praised the brand started publishing critical pieces. One headline read, "From luxury leader to disappointing disaster." Financially, the damage was severe. The spring collection was expected to bring in $30 million. Instead, it resulted in losses, returns, angry partners, and legal threats. Graydon tried to save himself. He fired others on his team, reorganized departments, and promised fixes. It didn't work. I heard that he contacted Eduardo again, offering more money and better terms. Eduardo refused. "You had the best coordinator in the industry," he told him. "You called her a loser and left her stranded. Why would I trust you?" 6 months after that message in the hotel lobby, Belmar Goods filed for protection from its debts. The parent company sold it off in pieces. The handbag division shut down completely. Graydon lost his job. Later, I heard he tried finding work elsewhere. No one would hire him. His reputation followed him, how he treated suppliers, how he treated his team, how he destroyed a $12 million partnership by failing to value the person who built it. The last update I heard was that he worked for a small, struggling brand, earning far less, living smaller. I didn't feel happy hearing that. I didn't feel victorious. I just felt tired of people like him, tired of systems that reward them. But I also felt relief that I had escaped, that I had found people who valued my work, that I had built something real. A year later, Aurora Lux opened their flagship store in New York. I invited Issa. I brought Ivy. She wore a new dress and held my hand as we walked through the store. Every handbag on display used materials I had sourced. Every piece represented a relationship I had built. "Did you really help make all of this?" Ivy asked. "I helped connect the people who made it possible," I said. "That's a lot of helping," she said seriously. "It is," I agreed, "and it means we can get ice cream after this." Later, Issa found me near the end of the event. "This wouldn't exist without you," she said. "It would exist, just differently." "No," she said firmly, "not like this." That night, Ivy fell asleep on my shoulder during the flight home. I looked at her and thought about how much had changed. A year earlier, I was standing in a hotel lobby with $40 and no plan. Now I had work that valued me, partners who respected me, and the ability to give my daughter the life she deserved. Did I destroy Belmar Goods? No. Graydon did that himself when he decided I was worthless and discarded the person who built something valuable. I simply refused to protect him from the consequences. Sometimes people ask if I feel guilty, if I wonder whether I should have signed the agreement anyway. The answer is no. I don't feel guilty for valuing myself or for walking away from people who treated me as disposable. Eduardo once told me, when someone throws you away, don't climb back into their trash bin. Walk away and let them realize what they lost. That's what I did. Ivy is 8 now. She knows the story in simple terms. "You're brave, Mommy," she told me recently. "I'm not brave," I said. "I was just tired of being treated badly." "That's what brave is," she said. Maybe she's right. I still work with Aurora Lux. Eduardo and Lucia feel like family. Ivy calls them Grandpa and Grandma. Eduardo retired last month and pulled me aside at his celebration. "Do you know what I'm proudest of?" "What?" I asked. "That I recognized your worth when others didn't." So that's my story. I didn't seek revenge. I stopped building for someone who didn't value what I built and let the results speak for themselves. Sometimes the best revenge isn't destruction, it's choosing yourself. Thank you for listening. If this story meant something to you, please like, comment, and subscribe. Your support truly matters.